Something seems off about this one, but I'm not sure what. Barry, you look pretty much normal. You got the brick with eyes and a mouth with a Christmas sweater and a scarf combo with wings and a straw hat. You know, nothing out of the ordinary there in the slightest. Likewise, we have Cloneberry 001, which is the plushy variant of the brick with eyes and a mouth and wings on its back. So, you know, that's fine. That's standard. Nani? Are we finally talking about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Did I finally get sucked into a parallel dimension? Is this another reality? Is this the reality where I talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure all the time? X-Force talks about One Piece, and I don't know, like, Sega still makes video game consoles in this dimension, so that's what Rogers Base talks about, I guess? I don't know, but here we are, okay? So, yeah, JoJo's video. Today, we are going to be talking about random stands in the JoJo series. How random? Well, I have a wheel here, so about this random, okay? I wanted to do this for a while. I kind of, in the same vein when I did the Akatsuki series with Naruto, which, by the way, I need to get back to that, I know. The next Akatsuki video is Obito, and I'm just like, and I'm just like, I'll get back to that. But with the Akatsuki series, I started that one with Conan, and I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I just kind of dived right in, instead of, like, taking days to, like, think about, oh, well, this is a series I don't normally discuss, so I gotta do a lot more research and blah, blah, blah. No, I just dived right into it, and I had a lot of fun doing it, so I thought, you know what? There's plenty of people out there that are more knowledgeable about the JoJo's universe. You know, X-Force is the prime example there, so if you want any more further detail on any stand that I'm going to talk about today, pretty much, go check out his channel, absolutely. But this is just, you know, something different. I wanted to try it out. So, on the wheel, obviously, is not every stand in the JoJo universe. I've only seen parts 3, 4, and 5 that include stands. Have not read part 6 or anything beyond that. I'm aware of certain stands that exist beyond this point, but, you know, I'm not familiar with the story and the plots themselves of those particular parts of JoJo. And even with this is not a comprehensive list of every stand from part 3 to 5. These are just the ones that I, like, remembered enough so I feel like I could actually talk about them, right? Excluding some of the more simplistic stands in Stardust Crusaders, like Avdol's Magician's Red. I mean, no offense to Avdol, I love the dude and I love Magician's Red, but at the end of the day, it's just a dude with a freaking bird head that can control fire. So that's pretty much that. Okay, I could talk about it, like, okay, so he can breathe fire and control fire, like pyrokinesis, and restrain people with fire, and that's pretty much, that's Magician's Red right there. I mean, it's pretty basic. Remember that one time when, okay, maybe I could make a video about this, but remember that one time in the jail cell when, you know, Avdol's trying to get Jotaro out of, you know, the jail cell, literally the first episode of Stardust Crusaders. He's using the fire, and the police officers in the jail, they obviously can't see the fire or see the stand because they're just ordinary people, right? But they can still feel, like, the effects of the heat of the fire nonetheless. So the first time I was watching Stardust Crusaders, literally the first time I was ever exposed to stands, and I'm like, okay, I've heard all about these things, now let's see what they're actually all about, right? And I was like, okay, how's this gonna work? And I just assumed it was, like, magical, mystical, like, spirit fire. It, like, wasn't actual normal fire, it was, like, this mystical fire that was controlled by Avdol's will and his soul, and that's where that came from, right? And then you have the scene where Jotaro just breaks a toilet, and the water from the pipes extinguish the fire from Magician's Red to free him. And then I start thinking, like, wait a second, so it's like mystical stand fire, yet normal water from, like, a sewer pipe can still extinguish it. That's kind of weird. That's a little bit bizarre. Okay, Araki, I see what you're going with here. I get it. I finally get it. Make the stands as consistently confusing as possible. That's what JoJo's really comes down to, is it not? Okay, so we're gonna spin this thing now, and I don't know how many stands we're gonna talk about today. It really depends on which ones we land on. If we land on one that's a little bit more simple, I can talk about it, and if we have some time left over, we'll spin it again and keep going until, I don't know, we hit like 20, 25 minutes, what I normally do for a video. If this thing lands on King Crimson, though, be prepared, because I'm gonna spend the entirety of this video just talking about King Crimson, and the majority of the conversation is probably just gonna be like, well, it looks cool. Like, that's the most, you know, adamant thing that we understand about King Crimson. It certainly looks cool, right? Okay. So, yeah, without further ado, let's just spin the wheel, see where it lands. May X-Force guide us in our quest. What do we got? Okay, here we go, and we got Knocking on heaven's door, Rohan Kishibe. Oh man, I was kind of hoping for a stand that was like more like in the background, one of the more one-off stands that don't appear, because now like Rohan is a main character in part 4. So now it's like, okay, Tekking, I got the popcorn. Let's see. Talk about Heaven's Door. I'm like, all right, Heaven's Door. Okay, so it takes the form of a manga character, which is already, I mean, a self-insert for Araki. I mean, by part 4, he was like, okay, we're going to feature literally like a mangaka drawing manga for Shueisha and Weekly Shonen Jump, and that's Rohan Kishibe. So that's a little bit of a self-insert there. Let me put that away. But the idea, the concept of Heaven's Door to me is more interesting than just the way it appears. You know, the manga character that Rohan draws takes the form of it. I like the design of that thing too. I like the design of like the hat and everything. But no, the whole concept of, you know, Heaven's Door is being able to turn people into books. So already pretty weird, but not just turn people into books, literally having the ability to read them like books. So you can turn them into a book, and the way that Rohan always does this is like a different body part each time, so that's really cool. So I think with Koichi, that one time he like literally ripped open his face, and so you see like his face like hollowed out like a book, so you can still see his like eyes and everything, like where the sockets should be, just like, you know, newsprint or whatever. So you can read through it, and you can find out anything that happened in that person's life. You know, they can't lie or deceive because you're literally reading like their brain and their experiences and their subconsciouses. I also don't think it has anything to do with like, I guess it does involve your memory, because it was stated like, okay, your earliest memories to your most recent memories are included in the book of your life that I can therefore read. Although I'm curious, because human memory is never really that good, especially the further back that you know, remember. So I'm wondering like if Koichi misremembered something from when he was a kid, would it appear in his book as what actually happened, or would it appear as he's remembering it? Like, for example, we were going through some old pictures just the other day. My mom found an old photo album, so we were going through that, and I'm looking through these old photos of me, you know, playing in the yard when I was a little kid and everything, and I remembered just by looking at the photo, I completely forgot that our neighbor had this giant pine tree in their backyard, and they cut it down when I was like 6 years old. So I just, you know, I always like remembered my past, you know, like playing in my backyard and everything on like my swing set or whatever, but I just like completely omitted that tree. And then I saw the photo and I'm like, holy crap, that's right, there was a tree out there. So now I start thinking like, okay, if Rohan used Heaven's Door on me, would it include like I played next to a big pine tree in my backyard, but I never remembered that, so I would it be in the book? There you go. Of course, the main strength of this stand is Rohan is able to find out everything about the person when he reads about them. In addition to that, he can also add new things in. And the extent of that is pretty broad from what I understand. You know, I'm sure there are limits, you know, but from every time he's used this ability that I can recall, it seems to range from really simple commands, like I remember when Sheep Trick was on his back, he just wrote the command into that one guy, like, you know, you will not look behind yourself, or you will not look at my back, you know, so just write a simple command there. It kind of leads to some humorous, you know, moments there where you can literally just go up to somebody on the street and then like open up their back without them even knowing and just being like, you will hop on 1 foot all the way home, and then the guy will just start hopping on 1 foot all the way home, and it just be like, yeah, I'm just doing this, you know, it's just normal, that's just what I'm doing, right? So that's like basic stuff. But then, here's something I remember. At the beginning of Golden Wind, when we have Koichi arriving in Italy, there was the moment where he's actually speaking fluent Italian. And they're like, oh, you speak Italian? Giorno's like, wow, you speak Italian really good. And Koichi's just like, oh, well, that's because Rohan Sensei added it into my memory. And of course, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I mean, like, I studied in school. I know Italian, of course. You know, so that explains, like, Rohan, with just one stroke of his pen, one sentence, to be like, he could just open up Koichi's book and just write in there, like, I studied Italian for 10 years. I'm fluent. He didn't actually do that, you know, but just from that one sentence alone, boom, he's now fluent in Italian. And so that raises so many more questions, like, you know, that's like warping history or time or whatever. Not really, it's just he can just add that knowledge into whoever he wants just by writing it in. So by that logic, if Rohan just, like, opened up my mind book and just wrote in there, you are, an expert, a genius when it comes to trigonometry or stoichiometry or chemistry or whatever. Just write that in there. Even though I've never taken any classes in trigonometry, it's like, you are completely an expert in physics or a calculus or whatever. Never taken a calculus class in my entire life, but just one sentence, boom, I'm like, yeah, the sum of the square root of any two sides of an isosceles triangle equal the square root of the remaining side. Which, that's geometry, but that's just a quote from Wizard of Oz. But yeah, okay, so it's something like that. Is that how it works? I'm guessing that's how it works. I think something else that was mentioned, I think it was also during the Cheap Trick arc, was that he can also use the ability on animals. Like, somebody asked him, like, can you use your ability on animals? And he's just like, yes, I actually can. In fact, it's actually easier to use on animals because their thought process is usually a lot more simple. Like, I don't know, you see a freaking toad or a frog or something, he opens up the book of a frog, it's pretty much just going to be like, ribbit, 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 ate a fly, ribbit, 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 slept, drank some water, ate another fly, ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. So, there's limits to what he can do. Could Rohan take the power of Heaven's Door and write in the frog, like, the frog is a master of calculus? Click. And just, would the frog therefore be like, okay, hop on the paper, give you a little pen here, and just be like, okay, he's like solving, advanced calculus problems. And I guess the idea that, since there are humans that can, be fluent in multiple languages, I guess the potential is there. Of course, it's potential for Koichi to learn Italian, so therefore Rohan can write it in there, and it's perfectly fine. But a frog, even a really smart frog would not be able to learn, advanced calculus. So you could write it in there, but it probably wouldn't do anything, right? There's probably a lot of other stuff that happens with Rohan, especially since I know there's even like these OVAs that he appears in. Like, Rohan is a very prevalent character in Diamond is Unbreakable, but I feel like instead of, messing up probably more than I've already have, I think we're just gonna move on to the next stand now. So that was Rohan Kishibei's really abridged Heaven's Door. Once again, I think X-Force might have even done a whole video about that because Rohan is so prominent, so go check that out. But okay, so moving on, what's gonna be our next discussion? Heaven's Door again. Alright, damn it. Alright, what are we gonna... Oh! Wait! Cream! Okay, this is gonna be fun. Holy crap, Cream was badass, right? That thing was freaking horrific. That thing was nightmare fuel, for God's sake, right? The power of this thing is literally it devours itself, rips open a void in the fabric of reality, and then just BOOM! Kills two of the most beloved characters in the entire part. Avdol and a dog. Oh, Iggy. I never cared much for Boston Terriers, but one of my friends actually got a Boston Terrier last year, and they're rather rambunctious. There was one time I went down their house, and it like clawed. He was a puppy, and it like jumped on my leg and really clawed up my leg pretty bad. I think I still have a scar from it. But Boston Terriers are so adorable, are they not? They're awesome. Okay, but anyway, yeah, Iggy died, and Avdol died, and Cream did it. Cream was certainly there, and I have to say, I was gonna, like, I don't remember all of the stand users, but luckily we got Rohan, and then we have Cream, who of course was, Vanilla Ice was the stand user, so it's literally Vanilla Ice Cream. Vanilla Ice Cream. And it's probably next to Zawurudo, the single most dangerous stand in the entirety of Stardust Crusaders. One of the most dangerous in terms of destructive power, I think, in, like, the whole story that I have read so far. How about this? How about we do this? From parts 3, 4, and 5, Cream, in terms of absolute destructive capabilities alone, would be in the top 5 of that kind of class. I think that's fair. I might be forgetting something. Green Day's pretty devastating. Yeah, and then of course we have, well, I would say, like, well, Killer Queen too. Alright, maybe not in the top 5, but maybe in the top 10, okay? It's up there, certainly, alright? So,
Yeah, I mean, like, I think a lot of it also is just bolstered by the fact that Vanilla Ice was a vampire. He was turned into a vampire by Dio, the last vampire, I think, in the entire story that was created, and the second to last to die next to Dio himself. I think he still had the stand Cream before he became a vampire, so I'm not really sure how Cream would have been before, he was changed into a vampire. Maybe it would have just been weaker or whatever, or maybe the vampirism doesn't really do much to change the stand, maybe overall like endurance and everything like that. But on top of Vanilla Ice being a vampire, Avdol and Polnareff and Iggy, they're all just wandering around this creepy as hell mansion, the whole time, and it's just like creepy torches on the wall, and everything's really eerie, and there's fog everywhere, and there's shadows everywhere, and then this freaking thing just pops out of the shadows and just devours you like that, right? And the way that Avdol went out was like, it was bone chilling. It was just, he like is just walking down the hallway and he touches his hand on the side of a pillar and it's like, oh wait, there's something written here. If you turn around, you will die. And it's like, oh, this is like some Final Destination shit right here. This isn't good. And he turns around and, yeah, he dies. Avdol dies. But you know what? The battle with Polnareff and Iggy, and then eventually just Polnareff, the way Polnareff finished him off, that was so brutal, but that was like after the deaths of not one but two of the Stardust Crusaders, it's Polnareff just completely pissed off, and he rams the freaking rapier of Silver Chariot right through Vanilla Ice, and then just cracks his freaking neck. And then on top of that with the sunlight and everything. And then there's the beautiful scene where their souls ascend. But Cream was absolutely devastating, and it was pretty damn close to killing Polnareff as well. Yeah. I guess, wait, could you argue the fact that the only reason that Cream died, or, that Vanilla Ice died, was because of the fact that Dio transformed him into a vampire? Because then he has, like, okay, yeah, he's stronger, and he's like, I guess, if he was a normal human, the neck thing would have also worked there, but, just the added weakness to sunlight, I don't know. I guess you can make an argument for that from both directions. I'm not really sure. But, yeah, Cream, I'll be honest with you, like, yeah, Dio's the world, though, that was an amazing stand, and it was finally cool to finally see him use that in action and everything like that. But in terms of a stand that was just really, like truly terrifying, like something like what was the stand in Stardust that I would least like to run into if I was, like, walking around, like, a dark alley in the middle of the night? What would I be most, like, absolutely terrified of just to pop out of the darkness? It would probably be Cream. Or that, or, like, Death 13 would be pretty creepy, too, with, like, the clown face. Yeah, that was pretty terrifying. But, yeah, that's Cream. So, very scary Cream. Where are we at? We're about 18 minutes. We can keep going. We can keep going from this. I hope this is entertaining to somebody. I really hope it is. Like I said, I didn't refresh on a lot of this. This is just going off of my memory here, and that's all this is. Okay, so here we go. One more spin, maybe. It depends on what we get. Maybe we get two more. Let's see. Let's just keep it rolling. See what we got. What do we got? Oh! Yes! 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 Excited fax machine noises. Yes! Okay. So Moody Blues is one of my favorites from Part 5, okay? I would probably say my favorite stand from Part 5... Oh, man, I'm really partial to Purple Haze. All of the Part 5 stands from the main cast are amazing. I love Purple Haze. I love Aerosmith. They're just all so damn cool. Metallica, that Risotto used. I would probably say Metallica is my favorite just because of the name and what it can do. But Moody Blues is definitely up there. Holy crap. Okay, so Moody Blues... just the aesthetic of the damn thing is like literally taking a fax machine, because I believe Araki wrote Part 5 in the mid-90s, like mid to late 90s, so you're talking fax machines, like landline telephones, all that kind of stuff still existed. Answering machines, too, were all very prevalent back then, so of course Araki just takes that as a concept and makes that into, like, an anthropomorphic, like, stand, okay? And so the way that this works is it allows Abbacchio to literally replay any event, and the way that it's utilized is like using an answering machine, okay? So it's like, I want to replay this event of this person going and buying an ice cream cone or something. Moody Blues comes out, and it clicks and just like rewind, transforms into the person buying an ice cream cone, and then it like literally replays the events of the person going over to the stand and ordering a Rocky Road and then coming back, you know? Obviously, for detective work, which Abbacchio used to be a police officer, this works great. The first time it was used was when they were on the boat, and there was a Narancia that was afflicted with the stand. What was that thing called? The thing that can turn you into like a deflated balloon, like condom sort of deal. Soft Machine? Was that thing? Yes, it was Soft Machine, right? Yeah, so Soft Machine turns Narancia into like that like deflated balloon, gets sucked into the pipes and everything of the boat, and so that's perfect for Abbacchio's stand, using Moody Blues and then transforming into Narancia, replaying all the events and everything. Later on, when they have to replay the events for the photograph taken at the Cape, and it's a super powerful stand that can replay any event, but it literally is like you're recording, or something like from a VCR too is another reference, like where you're literally like, okay, we have to replay something that happened like over a decade ago, like in 1986 at this Cape. All right, stop, rewind. We're gonna be here a while, but it'll eventually get there. Anybody remember doing that? Remember VCRs? Remember VHS tapes? Yeah, that was a time. That was a time. But, yeah, it makes me wonder, like, could he replay famous historical events to, like, prove what actually happened? Like, for example, just by a standard here, let's say if Abbacchio wanted to find out what really happened to, like, you know, Julius Caesar. Like, was he really assassinated the way that it's all talked about and everything? Did it really go down that way with, like, Brutus and everybody, right? So, Brutus and Cassius killed him. So is it like, okay, Moody Blues, rewind 2,000-something years to the Roman Empire. We're gonna be here a while. But hey, it rewound like 10 years to like the 80s. In like, actually, I think over that, because I think Golden Wind takes place in like 2001, and Rocky wrote it in like the mid-90s. But if it takes place in 2001, it was like the 80s. So that's like 15 years. And it took a little while, right? It took like, you know, I don't think it took like hours or anything, but it took like 10, 20, 30 minutes to like rewind to get back to that point. So by that logic, I mean, if you wanted to rewind like 2,000 years, I mean, sure, you could probably do that. You'd probably just be sitting there for a while. But if there's like nothing in danger of killing you, it's not like super risky, I guess you could do that, right? It's possible. I guess you would have to, in order for it to entirely work though, you would have to find the exact location where Julius Caesar was assassinated, right? And then you would have to have Moody Blues rewind everything 2,000 something years to get to that point, right? But yeah, it's a stand that could reveal like secrets of the world that have long been lost. What happened to, I'm trying to think of another like, what happened to Amelia Earhart? That was something. You know, like Amelia Earhart went down in the Pacific Ocean back in, I believe, the 1920s. So, you know, that would be, well, I guess what you could do is you could go to the location where Amelia Earhart left from her flight, and then you could have Moody Blues replay that back into the 1920s, and so it would transform into her, and then get in the plane, and then fly away, and then you get in another plane, and you just follow the path and see exactly what happened where exactly she went down, and you could, like, recover the plane or whatever. So Moody Blues is pretty damn cool when you consider all the capabilities of this, and the fact that it just makes angry fax machine noises just adds to the bizarreness of the stand. So there's that. Okay, so yeah, that was 3 stands we talked about today. We talked about Heaven's Door, we talked about Cream, and then we talked about Moody Blues, and I'm really happy I rolled Moody Blues on this one. Okay, rest in peace, Abbacchio. You were pretty cool. I was actually like, it's JoJo's, you know, going into each part that there's going to be a few character deaths, but I'm like, I hope that Abbacchio managed to get out of that alive. At any rate, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I think what I'm going to do, because obviously when it gets uploaded, I've already talked about all these stands. I think I'm going to keep it like generally a mystery in the video title and the thumbnail, because if I just throw the stand, like if I just throw Cream and Moody Blues and Heaven's Door in the thumbnail, you'll know immediately which ones I've rolled in the episode. So I guess I'll keep that a mystery. I'm not really sure. Mystery stand discussions, mystery stand lottery or something. I'll come up with a name somehow.
But let me know what you think about this, and if you just want more random JoJo discussions, like I said, I am not an expert on this series. This is not my area, really, but I love it, and I would like to talk about the stands. I'll get a lot of stuff wrong, and I'll forget a lot of stuff, but hey, if you want me to do that, we can keep doing that. Okay, well, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Teching Barry, Cloneberry, signing out. I guess I should end with a JoJo reference. Let's see here.